Welcome to Takeology with your three boys in the lab so you can do the cooking. I hope you're having a good day. We got some Thursday night football going on right now as we speak. 49ers versus Seahawks. We finally have the full crew back in the building. Matt and Avery, how are we feeling today?
Feeling good. Been a long week, but feeling good. I mean, we here. It's already been a long night already, and it's only been 2 quarters of football, and didn't start some right guys. Some guys already got hurt. It's just tough life. Tough life.
We almost didn't have Avery join us tonight. It's been that rough.
Been rough.
But we pulled him in. Matt, how are you doing today?
Feeling blessed. Glad to be here.
Blessed, baby. Yes, sir. That's what I like to hear. Huh? Looking fresh on the pod today, too?
Just got a haircut. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to ask earlier. Okay. Fresh cut, looking clean today, boys. Got the Hogs hat on. All the way in
baby.
Memphis, Tennessee, son.
Yes, sir.
That's what I like to hear. Well, we still have got some Week 5 games to go over. We'll get to that very soon. But we got a little bit of a lab report today. Matt, I wanted you to kind of say there's a guy that went on IR. I just wanted you to kind of talk about that real quick. How do you feel about Nico Collins on IR? What the heck's going on here?
That's sad. I for those that don't know, I just traded for him. He's the number one receiver in football right now. He's playing fantastic. Well, he was playing fantastic, and then he ran a little too fast on a bomb touchdown and went out of the game. And he tweaked his hamstring. He kind of did the same thing last year, and it was the same situation. Got put on IR and then came back after. So hopefully he'll come back from IR and just be fully healthy. I actually don't mind him going on IR because at least he'll actually wait until he's fully healed, kind of like A.J. Brown did. He didn't go on IR, but he waited a full 3 games. So at least I know he'll come back healthy, and hopefully I'll have him the rest of the season. But it does upgrade Tank Dell for those that have Tank Dell. So that's a huge plus.
And Stephon Diggs. And Dalton Schultz even. Joe Mixon does look like he's coming back too. So this team will still be fine. They're still a good team. They just have a big weapon that's going to be down for 4 weeks. There also was a report that hopefully early November CMC should be coming back. Now, if that's true or not, we'll obviously see. Another big thing on the lab report is Michael Pittman Jr. has a back injury and could possibly go to IR. He's doubtful for this Sunday. Boys, even with Anthony Richardson, who do you think next up on this receiver room? This receiver room's not bad, right? We got Alec Pierce, Adonai Mitchell, Josh Downs. What do we think about this receiver backfield?
I was about to say, you're about to miss the big one. Josh Downs the guy. I mean,
he's the guy, bro. Yeah.
Next guy up, especially I wish they would just go with Joe Flacco. That way everybody else is good. You can't play any of these guys with Anthony Richardson in the game. You just can't do it. But, oh, yeah, it's easy. It's easily Josh Downs. Just like it's Tank Dell that gets the upgrade, it's Josh Downs that gets the upgrade here. That's just in my opinion.
I fully agree. They talk about Josh Downs like he's the best receiver on that team. So, and if Flacco continues to play, I mean, Josh Downs is arguably like a low-tier wide receiver 1. He's been fantastic with Flacco on the field. So if that continues, Josh Downs is a huge upgrade for you.
That's a big one out there, Josh Downs this week. I believe Anthony Richardson is good to go. I feel like it doesn't really change the receiver room. Yeah, he's just been bad, really. It's been kind of sad to see, especially how high he was valued. He just doesn't have good accuracy. Great athlete, and I think maybe he'll get better in the future, but who knows. Another thing is Mr. Derek Carr went down Monday night, right? Spencer Rattler is getting the start this Monday. I mean, do you guys think that – I mean, what do you think about this? He's a rookie, obviously, first game. He did say he's going to pepper Olave. If he's open, he's getting him the ball. That's good to hear, but can he do it and get him an accurate ball? You know what I mean? What do you guys think?
I don't know. If you watch the game against the Chiefs, that line played pretty horrendous. And it had looked pretty good for the majority of the beginning of the season. But last game, they just looked terrible. And if they're not giving Spencer any time in the pocket to be able to go through his throws, it could be very ugly here at the beginning. But Derek Carr wasn't that good with these receivers either. So I don't know if it's necessarily a downgrade or an upgrade. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. Spencer did look good in preseason, so he could come in there and just absolutely sling it. Derek Carr, He sucks. He looked terrible against the Chiefs after that hot start. So, I mean, it's not really a downgrade, I don't think.
Yeah. I'm afraid it'll affect Alvin Kamara a little bit. What do you think, Avery?
I think Alvin Kamara probably suffers the most because Spencer Rattler might just be like Jameis Winston, maybe 0.5. He's not going to be better than him, but he's going to sling that thing. I agree. Derek Carr just looked awful against the Chiefs. There were throws that there were open guys if he made the throws. Chiefs defense is great, but he just didn't make the throws he needed to make. He's never been an elite quarterback. He's good. I think he's thrown for 40,000 passing yards. I heard that on there the other night, which is crazy. But I think that I know. So I don't think this hurts him. This might hurt Rashid Shaheed, though, because for some reason Derek Carr loves that guy. Just that guy, though. No one else, just him.
Receiver one on the team is Rashid Shaheed. There's no doubt there, which is crazy. Football's went weird this year. Honestly, it has been.
He won me a game in the other league, so I'm out of the waffle zone there. I'm finally not the last place team, so something's going right. I only won that game by 1 point. So every time he caught the ball, I loved it.
A win's a win at the end of the day. Boy, do we need one in our redraft league, but that's another conversation for another day. I don't want to. It hurts my heart. I almost don't want to watch football, but you know what? Here we are. Okay. You think us doing a podcast this year would upgrade our fantasy value, and it has not. So it is what it is. But I believe that's all we got for the lab report. Don't know if you guys know anything else that's going around the league. Nothing too big that I know of in terms of news right now.
Rashee Rice.
Rashee Rice, yeah, he is on IR. He's out for the rest of the season. So that's kind of I don't know what they're going to do in receiver room. We kind of expected this, but Amari Cooper, here we come, maybe, right? Who knows?
I'm holding on hope, baby. I got him on my redraft team. I'm just praying to the good Lord. Dude, Deshaun Watson is terrible. I can't even play Amari Cooper just because he's fourth in the league in targets, and he can't have a good game because of how bad his quarterback is. Put Jameis Winston in for goodness sake. He's gonna throw picks, but at least he throws it downfield. It's terrible to watch. It really is.
I think it's just – I was looking at some statistic today, and Watson has played 4 or 5 of the top 10 easiest defenses, pass defenses. After this week, he plays the Steelers, the Chiefs. His schedule, I think he has the hardest remaining pass schedule. So it already wasn't good. This is going to be worse. They got to start Jameis at some point, but they're stuck with him. They paid him so much money, they're stuck with him for 2 more years. Because no one's going to take that contract.
No. But they do play the Eagles this weekend. So if he can't get it done this weekend against a bad secondary,
they played Washington last week. That's one of the easiest defenses.
Yeah. Fair point.
I debated on playing Amari Cooper this week, and I'm like, it's a great matchup. He sucks. I don't know what else to say about it.
One other thing. Nick Chubb might be activated for this Sunday's game. The head coach said there's a chance. So I'm not saying he's going to fix the offense, but watch out. The world's about to shake when he comes back in. And the Browns are going to go from 1-4 to 1-5.
1-5.
It's not going to change anything. But I am happy to get him back because right now my running back room looks awful. Yeah. So there's that.
I have some news. The Seahawks just returned to kickoff. Just thought I would throw that in there.
About time.
And did you know that George Kittle, the guy I happen to be playing against, hasn't put up anything and gets a 10-yard touchdown? I mean,
I saw that.
He has a 10-yard touchdown?
Yeah.
My God.
It just
I wasn't gonna bring that up.
Just gonna happen. You just can't write this stuff up. You just can't do it. All right. For those who don't know, I'm playing Brevin. You'll see him at some point in this podcast. Brevin's team he doesn't listen, so I can say this. It's awful. But somehow he is going to put up 150 points this week, and it's going to drive me insane. Insane. Just wanted to throw that out there. It's happened to me every week.
Every week. Somebody just happens to drop the most they possibly can. Nick Chubb, though, that's exciting. I'd love to hear my boy back. Good old dog. TJ Hawkinson, after this bye, will also hopefully be back against Detroit next week. So, also good things to be looking out for. Well, that is our lab report for today. Now, I know we just talked about Deshaun Watson, but we're going to talk about him just a little bit more. Okay? The Browns played the Commanders this weekend, and Jaden Daniels has been cooking. Quarterback 2, I believe, right now. Dude's been balling, right? Next to Lamar. They've both been doing great. But the Commanders beat the Browns 34-13, which you think would have been a good game against a bad defense, the Commanders, but clearly Deshaun Watson just can't get it done. So, boys, I'm going to throw it to you. Okay, don't know who wants to take which team here, but talk to us about this matchup, what you think and what you see from two sides. Whoever gets the Browns here really gets the shaft, honestly. So.
I'll take the Browns. I've got Amari Cooper on my team, and like I said, he's fourth in the league in targets. He had 10 targets this game, only caught 4 of them for 60 yards. And I heard it on a podcast. Half of the targets he gets are catchable. The other half aren't even catchable. So, like, people were talking about his drop rate, but on a lot of these passes, they're not even in any shape or form able for him to catch it. It's terrible. They talk about how bad his offensive line is. Deshaun Watson tries to scramble on a lot of these and just ends up taking a terrible sack. He's inaccurate. He's got an awful attitude also, by the way. He walked off the field when their coach wanted to go for it on fourth down, and he just walks off the field. I used to like him when he was with the Texans. The dude looked like a phenomenal player, and now I can't stand him. On the Browns side of it in the running back room, it's been kind of weird. We expected Ford to get most of the carries, but he's been splitting with Deontay Foreman. Now, I will say Deontay got hurt, and he's questionable for the game this week. So this could be a game where you get the Jerome Ford full workload, but we've been expecting that all year, and it just hasn't came to fruition. So I wouldn't put any kind of stock into it, but you could probably put Ford in your flex and be okay. And then the other guy that's just sort of relevant is Jordan Akins. Njoku got hurt again. This was the first game he came back, and he got hurt again. So, I mean, this offense is terrible. So I think there's other options at tight end. But if you're in a pickle, Jordan Akins is at least a red zone target for them. So if you really are down bad in the tight end, like most people are, the tight ends have just been terrible this year. So if you're down bad, you could give him a look, but I think there's a lot better options. Jerry Jeudy had been doing okay, but this game he only had 1 catch for 16 yards. So I don't think he's a guy that you can consistently play. He's a flex option at best. So I would only play Amari Cooper on this team and maybe Jerome Ford here coming up.
I'm just going to add, Jerry Jeudy had an end zone. I mean, he had a ball in his hands and just dropped it. So he wasn't going on the Broncos. I think he's cooked. I think he's just cooked. But like you said, if Amari Cooper gets sent somewhere, there's no one else to get the ball. But on the Washington side, Jane Daniels had 20, great game, and no knock on him. He might be the front runner for that's a question, but he might be the front runner for the MVP right now. This Commanders team, if they didn't have Jane Daniels, this is a team that doesn't have a win this year. Like, they're just not a good team. So, and their defense, don't know how they're getting it done, but they are somehow. The most interesting thing here is Terry McLaurin is playable. We were afraid to start the year, but he's actually been pretty good. And I think he's going to be a consistent 10-point scorer. And really, the story is the running backs here. This is the guy said to start the year, great value, Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler has done, I get it. He had the concussion, so he's missed a little bit of time. This dude, he's averaging like 10 points a game. And that's not flashy. That's not the best in the world. But it's a guy in those late round draft picks, someone you can slot in as your flex or RB2 that's really helped you out. And then really, Jay McNichols, never heard of that guy, ended up with 10 points. This was a blowout game. So really there's not much to say on this side. Zach Ertz was disappointing, though. He's been a decent tight end. He had 2. But again, it was a blowout game. Also, Ben Sennett's been an absolute bust. He hasn't even seen the field. Not seen the field once.
Yeah.
Everybody was so high. I was so hyped for it. I ain't seen the field once. But these Commanders might have the MVP. going to be a close race. Him and Lamar are playing for it right now. They play this week. It's going to be a heck of a game to watch.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll see how it goes.
It's going to be a good game for sure.
Putting my biases aside, Eckler is second in the league in yards per attempt. He looks like the old Eckler. He really does. And don't get me wrong, I hate the dude for what he did to me last year, but he's playing good this year. And actually, Brian Robinson is kind of injured. That's why he was on a snap count last week, and what saved his day is those 2 touchdowns. But I think you're going to see a lot of Eckler this coming week, especially because of how stout the run defense is that they're going to go against. So he could be heavily involved in the passing game. So I think Eckler could easily be a flex option here coming up on this week.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Austin Eckler's looked really good. And if this team continues to ball out, there's no question that there is a lot of value on this team. And Terry McLaurin, Cliff Kingsbury gave up put him on the right side of the field only and give him a few routes. He's finally kind of opening up the field for him, and it's finally turned around for Terry McLaurin. And this team looks good. Do you guys think this is like the peak for this team, or do you think that they can even get better than this?
It's tough to say. I mean, their offense can definitely get better just because of Jaden. He's progressing as a quarterback in the NFL, but their defense really is pretty bad. So if their offense struggles at all during some of these games against better competition, I think they could be in for a little bit of – like the Ravens could blow them out. If they get up early and then they just run the clock out, they could blow them out if they're not careful. So when they play better competition, it's going to be a lot more challenging for them coming up here.
Hope they have a good game. Got Jaden Daniels in my starting lineup, so I hope he balls out. But more than likely, he won't, knowing how my luck has gone.
He's due for a bus game. It's going to come. It always comes, but he's due for one eventually.
Yeah, he's looked too good, and this is a good defense he's going against. Although the secondary has struggled on the Baltimore Ravens, but that's for next week. All right, well, we're going to talk about a team that's in the same position as me and Avery. They're 1-4. Jaguars finally got their first win against the Colts, right? 37-34, barely squeaked by. Trevor Lawrence kind of finally looked like we want Trevor Lawrence to kind of look like, even though he did throw an interception. And Joe Flacco, although he's old and still in the league, this man's balling out a little bit. He's looking real good, which is good for the receivers. Alec Pierce, I don't know if you guys have seen the stat, but his average yards per catch is like 28 yards or something like that. It's insane. This guy has only had deep balls, and he's just insane. So, what you guys take 2 sides of this, and Take Bigsby even had an outing there. So, what do you guys think about this?
Who do you want, Avery?
I got my boy Josh Downs. I'll go ahead and go with it. That's his.
Colts.
I will shout out though. Rep Arkansas, Cam Little, game-winning field goal. Got to represent. Just letting it be known.
Didn't know he played.
I'll cover. Dog, we could use him this year too. We need to. But that's besides the point. We'd be undefeated. But anyway, Joe Flacco, baller. Anytime he start at 26.5, but we knew this was a pass funnel defense, and it kind of showed as well. Trey Sermon really didn't have a good day. Alec Pierce got dragged down at the 1/4 yard line, and Trey Sermon just had to jump in. So you take away the touchdown, he really didn't have a great game. Trey Goodson really is a good running back. I think he's the next. I think he's going to surpass Sermon. I think so. Watching the game, that's what I thought. But hopefully Jonathan Taylor comes back. He's a great running back, top 5 guy. So hopefully he comes back. Michael Pittman is just one of the most frustrating players in fantasy football because I told someone in this group not to trade him, and what's he going to go on ahead and do? He traded him. And now he's been balling out ever since he traded him. Yeah. So just saying, but I think that's going to come to an end. But he always gets the targets. You're going to keep starting him. We'll see how it goes. But in this game, he did fine. Josh Downs did fine, and so did Alec Pierce. You're not starting Pierce, though. 3 targets a game. That's not sustainable, even if it's 28 yards catch. It's just not realistic. So that's really about it. This Colts team is just so confusing. They're 2-3. Are they going to be competitive? Maybe. This isn't a bad team. Their defense is awful. So if you got anyone playing the Colts, you start this Jags team. they couldn't find it, and then against this bad defense, they found it. 37 points is crazy. So if you got people playing against the Colts, play them. But these Colts players are going to be all right. This is so hard because, like y'all, we've said it. If Anthony Richardson's playing, this is a totally different team. You can't start these guys, and that it's so hard because you're banking on it. You drafted Michael Pittman with a 4th-round pick at the latest. You drafted Jonathan Taylor with a 2nd-round pick. These are just high guys that you got to play, but it's so scary to play them. So that's about it. That's all I got for the Colts. They're going to be one of those teams that go 500. They'll finish like 9-8, 8-9. They might sneak into the playoffs if everybody loses. But with Joe Flacco, they're competitive. With Anthony Richardson, I don't think they'll be competitive, and we'll probably see that this week coming up if he plays.
Okay, on the Jag side, I was ecstatic. I have Brian Thomas on my team, and this dude, he looks great. He sure looks like the wide receiver 1 on this team. He really is good. If he wouldn't have been in such a good wide receiver class in this draft, he would have went way higher. The dude is super good at football. The running back room, it's weird. Travis Etienne, he's dealing with the shoulder injury, so he's not getting as many carries. And Tank Bigsby, he's leading the NFL in yards per carry. The dude looks good. He had 13 carries this game for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. There was one play where they just couldn't tackle him. He pushed himself. He just looks really good. And to see Trevor Lawrence finally play good, it was just good to see because the Jaguars need it. Their defense is terrible. So this offense has to be putting up points on a week-to-week basis. And Evan Ingram looks like he's going to play this week. I will say that takes away heavily from Christian Kirk. I don't think he's playable when Evan Ingram's on the field, but Brian Thomas is he's the alpha on this team. He had 8 targets this game. I don't see that changing. He's such a good down the field threat. So I think that'll continue throughout the rest of the season. And where he got drafted in drafts, if you got him, it looks like a steal. So if you got Brian Thomas in any of your leagues, I bet you're ecstatic right now.
Yeah. I want to say before we move on, start of the week for me is Tony Pollard. And the reason is they're playing the Colts, right? There has been at least, I think, 3 running backs that have 100 yards against this defense. This defense has not held running backs very well. And it's been a 60-40 split backfield for these running backs. It has not been a 50-50 like we thought with Tajay Spears. So be looking for Tony Pollard to start this week because he could definitely have a good week. He's looked really good this year, and they have not been able to pass this ball. Will Levis has not looked good. So let Tony Pollard run. Let that boy go. Yeah, this Colts defense has been tough.
I also got to say, I don't know what Evan Ingram has done to his hamstring. He must have that thing must have fell off the bone. I mean, just must have fell off. He might as well have been placed on IR. He's missed 4 weeks. He played the first game, and I'm in my other league. I ain't seen him since. It's been the Zach Ertz season the whole time. Because who knows where Evan Ingram's at. But if he misses Strange for them, he's not a bad tight end. He's reliable. He'll do the job. So if you're looking for a fill-in, that's probably who I'm going to play this week if Evan Ingram doesn't play. That's just a little shout-out.
Trevor Lawrence has looked for him. He's thrown the ball to Strange quite a bit, actually. So especially when they're struggling or having to pass the ball. So that's a good look. All right. This is a game Matt's going to want to talk about for sure. Chiefs versus Saints. Boy, were me and Avery again wrong. I guess we just got to stop picking against the Chiefs. Maybe that's what it is.
I want to put out there, I knew – I said it before. I said the Chiefs were the better team. But like Matt said earlier, this was the game that I thought the Chiefs were going to come in and go, the Saints suck, so we're going to play easy. That's not what happened. That's not all what happened. So that was a wrong pick. But the Chiefs are the better team. They probably are the best team right now. They're just rolling. Someone's got to stop 14 personnel. That's all I have to say.
The big boys.
It's crazy.
Just had to put that in there. I don't think our Monday night games we've picked one right yet. I think we got all Monday night games. No, I got the Cowboys right one time. That's all. That's the only one.
You picked against the Steelers?
No. Oh, no, that was Thursday night when they played the Giants.
Thursday?
Don't even get me started about it. Nah, keep going.
We will talk about that game today. I feel like all the weeks start to jumble together, but you know what? We'll let Matt live in his glory here. Chiefs beat the Saints. Derek Carr. They brought down the Derek Carr, right? Maybe to save the Saints season. Who knows? But it's them and the Vikings, undefeated. Who's going to be the last ones undefeated, right? I'm sure you'll touch on some Kareem Hunt here. What a game, right? Even Travis Kelsey looked good. Juju Smith-Schuster, watch out now. Waiver wire pick. They're on a bye, but get that man on your team. I'm telling you, he might be the number one target for right now. Matt, I assume you're going to take the Chiefs here, so I just assumed. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, rip it off.
I mean, what more can we say?
Oh, Lord.
Like these injuries. I mean, there are three best skill position guys, and we continue to win. Like this offense didn't look like it missed a beat. Like without that interception and the touchdown, this is even more of a blowout. So like if you're the other teams in the NFL, what are you thinking right now? We took a guy off the streets, Kareem Hunt, and he had over 100 rushing yards. We took a guy that couldn't even play on the Patriots and Juju Smith-Schuster, and he had the best game since he was on the Chiefs. So, like, what can the NFL do? We're only going to get better. We're going to get Pacheco back later in the season. Hopefully, Hollywood Brown will be back for the playoffs, and then hopefully we trade for Amari Cooper or someone to that extent. So I'll put this question to you boys: How can you beat us? Like we don't have any skill position players that anybody would want to trade for, and we can. Patrick Mahomes threw for 330. So what can you do to stop the Chiefs?
I honestly, I don't think you can do anything right now. Like you hate to say it it looks like they're just good. It's also the coaching staff and it's Patrick Mahomes just doing Patrick Mahomes. Although he sucks for fantasy, again, I'll say that for sure. I mean, him and Derek Carr had about the same fantasy points. He is a
Yeah,
good quarterback in real life. I mean, he wins you a game, but I don't know what you can do. Just they're proving it again and again that it doesn't matter who's on this team. At least they got Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes, and that's all they need. Because other than that, they're gonna use what they got and get you a win. It's kind of crazy, honestly.
I,
Props to
I
the Chiefs.
think now the Chiefs won. Hats off to them. The Saints are a pretty bad team. I do not. Let's say here's my thing. The week before they played the Falcons and they lost. The Saints did not score, or the Falcons. Let me rephrase. The Saints' offense is so bad. The Falcons didn't score one touchdown on offense and they still won. The Saints are just a bad team. They're just a bad team. Now, I love Chris Olave. I think he's still a dog, but we'll get into that in a minute. But I don't know what you do. I'm gonna be honest. Maybe you run into the maybe you run into the Ravens. That's about the only team that can
yeah, I agree.
somewhat put up a fight. So we'll see
Yeah,
how that goes.
I mean, just as a Chiefs fan, I was terrified when all these injuries because we've never. I will say we've got really lucky with over our years of success that we haven't had many super big injuries to any of our players. And this year, it seems like everybody's getting hurt, and we just continue to win. So I wasn't meaning that like bad. It was an honest question. Like
No.
it looks like they're on. We've had one of the toughest schedules to start the season. And I'm not the Saints were bad. I'm not disagreeing there, but the rest of the competition we played was pretty good. So, anyways, I'll get to the actual game here. Kareem Hunt looks like a great waiver wire pickup. He had 27 carries this game. Now that was kind of due to the fact that we were up early and just continued to run the ball. But as a Chiefs fan, we are up quite often. So I think Kareem Hunt's going to be a pretty good player until Pacheco comes back. You kind of expected P. Ryan to get mixed in there, and Clyde was activated as well, and neither one of them were even a factor hardly. Carson Steele was in the game a little bit, but it looks like Hunt. I mean, he looked like old Hunt. He was explosive, and he looked good. Juju Smith-Schuster, I would hold off on him. A lot of his production was off one pass, so I wouldn't go crazy with him. He's going to be our over-the-middle guy, just kind of moving the sticks. So that's not a super high priority, but Travis Kelsey is. If you can trade for him, I would. This dude's going to get peppered the rest of the season until we get someone either traded for or something happens because he is the focal point on this offense now with Rasheed gone. So he's going to be phenomenal. And like you said with Patrick, he's just looking to win these games. He's not going to have flashy numbers. When we get in the red zone, we've kind of struggled there, so we end up running a lot, and it's just not leading to huge success for Patrick. We'll take the field goal. We're not going to go for it on fourth down. So Patrick's kind of a dicey one. If you can trade him, I would. I actually saw in our league he was dropped and he's just on the waiver wires. I think that's a bit extreme. Yeah,
Really?
so yeah, he did. He's on the waiver wires. So
No
uh,
way.
yeah, Daniel dropped him. So in other leagues, I would recommend trading him because he's got a lot of name value. So I would trade him. I wouldn't just drop him. But if you're I don't know if you're down that bad. I guess you can drop him, but I think that'd be a stupid decision because he can go for 4 touchdowns in a single game. We all know it. It's just it kind of depends on the script. So if we're playing a bad team, he's not going to be a great start. Go ahead, Avery.
I agree. I think he should have traded him, but I don't
That's
disagree
crazy.
with him. I don't disagree with him dropping him though. He, like I said, best quarterback in the league. There's no argument to that. But fantasy wise, he's just not. I'm trying to look and see if he's even the top waiver wire quarterback this week. I don't even think he is.
Daniel Jones is up there.
He probably isn't.
Yeah, which is crazy to say. Like he's behind guys like Daniel Jones and Geno
That's
Smith.
crazy.
That's it. But like that's crazy. That's crazy to think. He's still a good quarterback. There's no argument to be made. I said you should have traded for Travis Kelce a week ago before this game, before Rice got hurt, because he wasn't going to keep putting up 3 points a game. That's just not Travis Kelce. Not until he retires, he's going to put up 6 or 7. Like that's his floor. That it's not like we're talking about Mark Andrews, who you should be red alert on. But to get to the Saints,
the dude's trash.
This start off the game, the Saints are driving, and then Derek Carr's like, F it, I'm going to throw that thing up there somewhere. And it's like, dude, what are we doing? And it's just those plays that's Derek Carr's, like, I'd say that's his career summed up. Like, that's just it. Like, he's not a bad quarterback, but he just makes some stupid decisions, and it just gets him beat all the time. They weren't winning this game. Alvin Kamara disappointing. I said, I don't think he's – I said week 1. I said after his big boom game or the 43-point swing, you should have traded him. I just don't think he's older. This Saints offense, and now you throw in Spencer Rattler in here. I just don't see a way Kamara, unless he gets 2 touchdowns a game, is going to keep putting up 20. I think his floor is 8 or 9, but I just don't think he's going to have the ceiling that he had week 2, 40 points. Crazy. So that's just my opinion. And then Rashid Shaheed, I don't know. This is the Calvin Ridley experience I had from last year. You start the guy 1 week, 2 points. You sit him 16 points. And it's just, what do you do? So you kind of got to ride the highs with the lows. And then Chris Olave, people are freaking out about it. But I'm not freaking out about Chris Olave. The Chiefs do this with every number 1 receiver. They just, Andy Reid schemes them out of the game. And that's just how it goes. So you knew this game, if you needed 10, you knew that wasn't happening. It's just not realistic. So don't freak out on him. Jawan Johnson, though, could be a tight end you want to start looking at. I think he's going to get – well, if Derek Carr was there, he would get the ball more. But that's about it. I didn't realize the Saints kicker ended with 0 points. That's pretty sad. So just saw that. That's pretty pitiful, honestly. But the Saints, I don't even know where you go with this team. Oh, Alex is in there. He might be listening to the podcast. See, but I don't know what they do. This isn't a team good enough to win the division. I say that, but the best team's 3-2. So maybe they'll compete, but they got turned around. Derek Carr's going to miss 4 weeks. Spencer Rattler comes in here and balls out. Who knows? I mean, I don't think he will, but stranger things have happened. Stranger things. And maybe this is a good thing, but see how that goes.
I think he's got a shot to do something. I mean, his defense is not too bad, but they're not also too great either. Now, I will say with Alvin Kamara, I don't think his ceiling is 40 by no means, but he did play a good Chiefs defense, and they stuffed him up a lot. And they were also down, so the script wasn't necessarily let him run. He only had 11 carries. But the outlook for Alvin Kamara is kind of going to change without Derek Carr there. Just because check down Carr would feed that man. I mean, PPR, half PPR. That's what you love about Alvin Kamara. He's not necessarily the best run production guy. So honestly, it probably is a good time to trade him if you can get good value out of it. If not, I mean, sit on him. Why not? But I do think his production will decrease a little bit. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Do you think his numbers go down a little bit?
I think his rushing yards for sure will, but I think over the course of history, you've seen rookie quarterbacks when they get pressured, they just dump it off to the running back. And Kamara is fantastic at catching those and getting good yards out of them. So his rushing might go down, but I think his passing might go up. All these dump offs are probably going to be there, and if Spencer gets nervous in the pocket, I think he Alvin Kamara is just such a good pass catching back. So I think it'll be more like Kamara last year, where he came back from injury or suspension or whatever it was, and he wasn't good rushing, but he was fantastic catching the ball. So I think you'll see that a lot just because this line is bad and Spencer's going to scramble and dump it off.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear, boys.
But
Got
I would
Kamara in two
trade.
leagues.
I would trade him. I'm not saying keep him. I just think the
Okay.
production won't be bad. Now I will say your expectations might need to change a little bit because you drafted him late. So him being as good as he was early in the season, that was just a plus.
That's fair.
I mean, you drafted him late, so
Yeah,
he's probably going to have the production that you expected when the season started.
that's fair. I might need to start looking for some trade assets here. See what I get out of them because I need some help, boys. So we'll see what we can do. Matt, if you're looking for Kamara, buddy, come
I
my
don't want
way.
to. I got old man James Conner. He's a stud.
Awful.
He's
Awful.
he's due. You know he's due. You know he's
Breaks
due.
his leg.
It's
Don't
coming.
say it. Don't
It's
say
coming.
it.
If this is the year it's just gonna be your luck. You're gonna get all the way to the end. He doesn't miss any time. Bam, done. All the playoffs. I know it's coming.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised one bit.
You gotta love it. It's just how it goes, boys. All right, Texans Bills. Kind of a sad game to talk about because Nico Collins, for our boy Matt here, he ran too fast, right? Like some of us in our 40-yard dash times. Got a little hurt out there. Parker Mattinson, RIP to the hamstring. It happens to the best of us, right? Avery's back is still recovering from that number one draft pick, but it is what it is, right? Sometimes you just run too quick. But Texans pulled through 23-20. C.J. Stroud threw for 300 yards, not bad, right? But I don't know how to pronounce this name on the Texans running backs here, but Oguwale, is that how do you say this, boys? Help me out here. What does this look like?
I think that's good enough. Ogunbowale, I think that's how you would say it.
We might just call him OG, right? Mr. OG
go with me.
here. But boys, run through this game. Obviously, we're not Bills fans here. We all don't like the Bills. I would say probably pretty equally to an extent. You like the Bills, maybe? Okay.
Give me the Bills.
Go
Give me
ahead.
the Bills here.
Run away with the Bills, my boy.
I'm heavily invested in the Bills. Heavily. I think I have all these players, not in one league, but in all my leagues combined. I think I have the whole team. Pretty darn close to it. Josh Allen. I've traded for this guy, and he's been a bum. Just a bum the last 2 weeks. I had the support of everybody. Go get Josh Allen. I was like, dude, this guy's QB1. Awful. Now, I have to say, he didn't have his wide receiver one, and the Texans' defense is good. But you expect Josh Allen to do better than 9 for 30. And that's just pitiful. So you got to hold him to a higher standard than that. But what's sad is this was probably Josh Allen's second worst game of the season, and C.J. Stroud had one more point than him. And that's the difference between a rushing quarterback and a pocket passer. So that's really truly how different that is. That's why it's so important to get a dual threat quarterback. James Cook had a good game, but he's done. He's going to be out for like 3 weeks with turf toe. He slammed that thing in the ground so hard, it was unbelievable. I don't know how he generated so much force behind that. It truly was unbelievable. So he's done. That's great. So we're going to get Tyler Johnson, or what is this, Ray Davis? That's not Ray Davis. Yeah, it is Ray Davis. I was right. The rookie. We'll see who gets the snaps. I wouldn't invest anything in this because I think they're just going to throw the ball 100 times. So just watch out for that. Keon Coleman with a big game. I wouldn't start him. I think Khalil Shakir is obviously the wide receiver one. If you took the shot on him and you got him, you're happy that you have him. He's more of a flex play, but hopefully he comes back next week and this Bills offense looks a little bit better. But I will put it out there. tight ends have been so sad this year, and it's so unbelievable. You would think with a cover two safeties high, you would think the tight ends would get the ball more. Like, hey guys, we can't throw the ball deep, so how about we use our tight ends? And all NFL offensive coordinators are like, nah, that's too easy. That makes too much sense. So guys like Dalton Kincaid, that I took this guy in our dynasty draft in the 3rd round, have just really not panned out to be who they are. So, and that's really not. I don't know how much at fault it is, but he's tied in 12, and his games are 1.6, 5, 10, 7, and 4. Like, and you're telling me that's a tight end 12? That's how sad tight ends are this year. So I'm upset with him. But on the other hand, it could have been worse. You could have drafted some of these Sam Laporta, Travis Kelce, Trey McBride, these guys that are, I mean, they're still good. And at least Kelsey's doing better now. But they're just, you feel like you wasted a draft pick, essentially. Like, there's so much better value. And you live, you learn. Like, if this is what tight ends do, then next year we might just all punt the tight end position till the end. That's just reality. Other than that, not about much. Marquez Valdez Scantling, just want to throw that out there for you, man. 0 for 3. This guy just sucks. He just can't catch the ball. I don't know how him and Sky Moore. I don't know how these guys still have a job. You get what I'm saying? Like, how your one job, you get paid millions. Go catch the darn football. I made like an Odell Beckham catching intramurals tonight, and I thought it was the stuff. So I'm just saying, if I can do it, some of these guys get paid millions of dollars. Just put stick them on their hands. That's what they need. But it's just sad. 0 for 3, ridiculous. This Bills team, I think, is finally getting exposed. This is the last thing. I think they're getting exposed for who they really are. They start off the year with the Cardinals, Dolphins, and Jags. They're just not 3 very good teams. They just got done playing the Ravens and the Texans, who are probably, besides the Chiefs, their biggest competition to win the division. This is a team that wants to win the division. This isn't a rebuilding team. So if this team wants to really get to where they are, losing 10-35 in 2023 just ain't going to cut it. So I'll let you spill on it, Matt. But my one take, you can talk about this. C.J. Stroud is ranked number 11 in QB. I think he's been a bust for what you drafted him in the 5th round. That QB 11 is not good. So I'll let you hit on that. But that's just my thing about C.J. Stroud. But I'll let you cover that.
Yeah, I fully agree. That's the problem drafting these pocket passers like CJ is. They have to have a huge game with like 250 passing yards and then a couple touchdowns to be relevant. Like Jaden Daniels, for example, he can throw for 150 yards, but he's going to rush for another 50 and then maybe have a rushing touchdown mixed in there as well. And the rushing yards for quarterbacks, I hate how it is, but they are just so valuable in fantasy football. I hate that, but it just makes the rushing quarterback so much more valuable. That's why you see Josh Allen consistently be the number 1 quarterback just because of how much he rushes. You saw Jalen Hurts do it last year with the tush push. As much as I hated that play, Jalen Hurts looks terrible this year. And the tush push kind of carried him in fantasy last year. I'll just say it. But, yeah, he for sure is a bust from where you drafted him. And I think it's only going to get harder for him because Nico Collins is his best receiver, his number 1 target, and he's going to be out 4 weeks. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. But on the Texans side, the Nico Collins, he went out early in this game. It was either the first quarter or early in the second quarter on the long touchdown run. He's going to be out 4 weeks. So you would think that would elevate Tank Dell. But in this game, Nico went out early, and Tank Dell only had 4 catches and 38 yards, and he was only on the field 68% of the time. So that's really worrisome if you're a Tank Dell drafter because you drafted him fairly high, and it's just proven that you can't have 3 fantasy viable options receiver-wise on the same team, and that's kind of playing out this year. And then I heard it on the Fantasy Footballers podcast. I think this foot injury is playing a lot bigger part in his play this year than people thought it would. They thought he'd come back fully healthy, but he doesn't really look like the same player. He's kind of struggled with drops this year. He's not getting as open. So that's just something to kind of monitor. But if he goes off this week without Nico, he could be a guy that you kind of trade for because the owners of Tank Dell, they have been very dissatisfied this year just because of how bad his play's been. So you could probably get him for pretty cheap. On the running back side of it, Cam Akers, he's just not very good. And you kind of see the offense struggle for the Texans without Joe Mixon out there. Cam Akers just doesn't. He's just not the guy. And they asked Joe Mixon what his availability is going to be for this week, and he said he's 50-50 on if he's going to play. So, I mean, that's worrisome. If you're going to play someone in their running back room, if Joe Mixon's out, it would be the guy that you struggled saying his name. I'm not even going to attempt it. But he had 15 attempts this game, and he was heavily involved in the passing game. So if he's going to do that on a consistent basis, I would play him over Cam Akers, no doubt about it. He also got the crunch time rushing yards, and then he also got the goal line work. So I would play him over Cam Akers all day, every day. But be looking for Tank Dell because he could be, and Stephon Diggs as well. He should even get more targets than he's been getting. So I would look at those two receivers this upcoming week because that's going to be pretty interesting to see without Nico out there.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I've heard Xavier Hutchinson is the next guy up in terms of receivers. Now, I mean, I doubt that he'll be out there on the field, I'm sure, but I doubt he'll get a lot of the passing game with Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell. I'm sure it'll go to them and Dalton Schultz more than likely. But yeah, it's Dare Ogunbowale. Something.
That's
okay?
why I didn't try.
Dare OG. So if you're looking for a guy, just look for a guy on the Texans running back that's got a long, weird name, okay? It's not Cam Akers. The easier name's not the guy who's going to be running, I'll tell you that. He has not looked good. Even though preseason, that man was in the spin cycle. So
they figured out his one move. He's going to spin every single time.
That's it. That is it. All right, next game. A game I do not want to talk about because I continue to get burnt over and over and over and over again by this receiver. I'm about tired of it. Nobody wants him. I don't want him. But Tyreek Hill, okay? Dolphins versus Patriots. Just a boring game. Just a bad game all around, to be honest. Big side of the Patriots, though, Drake May will be starting this weekend. So we'll see how that elevates or decreases the Patriots. I mean, I don't think it can be that bad. Drake May didn't look awful. But what do you guys think about Drake May? I'll have you touch on that real quick, and then you guys can talk about this game a little bit. How do you feel about that?
I think he's better than Bo Nix. Just want to put that out there.
Whoa, chill.
That was awful. That's awful. That's an awful take. That's an awful take. Just outright awful. Just awful. There's no way. You can't hate on the Bo Nix hype train. That man is looking great. He is looking great. He is. Hey, I'm going to be honest, though. Y'all's competition in the AFC is the Broncos. It's not the Chargers or the Raiders. It's the Broncos, led by the man. I told Alex. You know, we hopped off the Bo Nix train. I hopped off after game 2. Boy, did I jump off too early. The next week I was on the caboose. I'm back in the passenger car right now. That's where I'm at.
We're eating good. We're looking at the menu.
If you give me one more week of a good Bo Nix, I might be the conductor again. I might be right back on. So, just saying.
I shouldn't have brought his name up. Talk about Drake May.
I love me some Bo Nix. I thought he was a good college quarterback too. But Drake May, mid. I didn't think he was that good. I really wasn't impressed with them at North Carolina. They had talent there. They just didn't do anything. And I feel like when you start comparing guys and all you have to go off of, all we heard all during the draft and the offseason was, this dude's huge. He's got an arm. Well, so is Zach Wilson. And we saw how that turned out. Like, Zach Wilson couldn't win. I hate when teams draft these guys in college and they did nothing in college to show that they could win or do anything. So, I don't know. I don't think he does anything different. I don't think Jacoby Brissett's played bad for him. I think the Patriots are just a bad team. You're telling me, I don't know. I guess I'll go ahead and talk about the Patriots. I'll give you Miami since you got Waddle. I'll let you talk about him. Brissett's been fine. He's just mid. He's never been great. He's just middle of the pack guy. I'm really not happy that Ramondre Stevenson. Oh, guess who's playing him that week? Me, surprise. But just goes off for 17, has a 40-yard rushing touchdown. He'll be fine. He's the guy back there. I thought it was going to be Gibson. Nah, that ain't how it works. So, Ramondre, keep playing him. Wouldn't trade for him, though. But this is why the Patriots is stink. You got Demario Douglas, good receiver. Other than him, it's just not good. Jaden Polk, Bourne, Tyler Thornton. I mean, these are guys like, if you asked average NFL viewers who these guys are, they don't know who they are. And you can't say that about a ton of wide receivers in the NFL. You usually can say who their stars are. There's no stars on this team, and that's the problem. So Drake Mayplane's not going to fix this team. If there's a guy you're starting on here, it's Pop Douglas and Ramondre Stevenson. Those are just two guys that are probably going to get the ball a ton. Hunter Henry, shout out Arkansas, is a great tight end. He just doesn't get the ball consistently. One game he'll get 10 targets. Next game he gets 2. So I can't figure it out. Maybe someone above. It seems like when he gets the ball, they win, but I don't know why he doesn't get the ball. So yeah, that's the Patriots in general. Just not you're just not starting anybody besides Ramondre and maybe Pop Douglas. So we'll see how it goes. And I think Drake May's man. Matt, what you think, Matt? What do you think about the Tyler Pro Bowl selection, Tyler Huntley? What a joke,
Mr. Snoop. Yeah.
Side note, the fact that he made the Pro Bowl is a joke. The Pro Bowl is a joke now.
It's a joke.
I'll let you handle all that.
Yeah, it's terrible. Fun fact for you: this is more yards. He threw for more yards this game than he did in his season where he was a Pro Bowler. 194 yards is the most he's thrown for. Is that not just terrible?
That's crazy.
Get Ryan Tannehill. Crazy. Sign him right now.
Anyways, with the Dolphins players, you're kind of just praying that Tua is going to come back. And he does want to play football. He's been outspoken about it. It looks like they're targeting like a week 8, week 9 return. So, I mean, if you're a Tyreek Hill owner or a Waddle owner, that's what you're praying for. And honestly, Achane, we kind of expected Achane to still be okay, but he has been terrible. And he had the concussion as well, so you're kind of just hoping he gets back healthy. But with these Dolphins players, if you have them, it's been a rough ride so far. But Tua could come back potentially week 8 or week 9. But even that is a slippery slope because he could come back, and with as many concussions as he's had, he could not be right. He could think he's healthy and then get out there, and it's a slippery slope. So just be careful with it. There's been a lot of people actually like if you had a good record here early in the season, you're trading for Tyreek just for the playoff push. So, but if you drafted him, you're in a bad way. So, sorry, Alex, but you could have a good second half of the season if Tua comes back healthy. But there's really not much to talk about. They're not really fantasy relevant. You're gonna probably keep playing Tyreek Hill. He had an okay game this week. He had 6 catches for 69 yards. If him and Huntley can kind of gain a little bit more of a connection, he might be a semi-good play week to week. But Waddle, you're putting on the bench. Achane, you can play him, but it's probably not going to go well for you. Mostert's back, so he's back to splitting. And then their rookie looks pretty good as well. And he's kind of better at running through the tackles, so he's getting a lot more work. So it's a slippery backfield now too. So the Dolphins players, I just wouldn't feel comfortable playing any of them besides Tyreek just because of how explosive he is.
Yeah. What I've learned from that take is that the Dolphins are just slippery all around. Just a bunch of slopes and it's all slippery, honestly.
It is an ocean animal.
You know what? Good point. That's right. There you go.
Made my wife laugh, so that was good.
Hey, that's what we're here for, right? That's why you're here, Matt, with the fresh cut and the good laughs. But, man, I am tired. I am tired of the Dolphins. I've had enough. Tyreek Hill has made me nothing but mad. Taking him at 2, I should have took anybody else. It's just been ridiculous. And I hope Tua's okay and all, but he better get back and start throwing that thing because I've had enough of Snoop. I don't care who's back there. Then go get Ryan Tannehill. And nobody wants Tyreek Hill. I could go on forever. It's just 1 and 4 is awful. Okay? It's just bad. I know Matt doesn't experience that, but Avery can attest to that. So
I'll give you Khalil Shakir if you
don't do that. See, this is the kind of crap I've had to deal with.
Here's my question, and here's what I think. You drafted Tyreek number 2. I get that, but you're also 1 and 4.
Yeah.
I drafted Christian McCaffrey and he's hurt. No one's gonna take him because you don't know when he's coming back. Someone would take Tyreek from you if you truly needed to get a win. Someone would. I know that someone would take him. You're just not. Your asking price is too high. You have to really evaluate where he's at now. I think what a lot of people struggle with is name value and where you drafted him. Like, don't get me wrong, Tyreek Hill is still probably going to be pretty good when Tua comes back. But at that point, you've held him for so long. Did he benefit your team when you had him at the end? Or is he really just losing you games sitting on your bench? Like someone would give you, I don't know,
See, yeah, hard.
what's a tier? I would put him in the tier right now of like Michael Pittman, George Pickens, like slightly in that range. And I
Amari
know that's what
Cooper.
Amari Cooper. Like you're talking about guys that have high upside plays. And that's kind of what Tyreek is. He's always been. He's been a high upside guy with a decent floor. You're just trading for guys with really low floors, but really high upside. So I know you're not going to do it, but that's what I'm saying. You got to readjust where you value these guys at. So that's just my opinion. That's what I
No,
think you should have done. I think you should have traded him the moment Tua got hurt.
I've been trying my best. I have sent out trades. Listen, I think also there's just a stigma with my name when it comes
Not
to
to me.
trades.
You ain't sent me one. I mean,
I,
Yes,
I,
and
I
you
can't
guys
trade with
send me
you.
one.
you
I
ain't sent me
can't trade
one.
with you guys. You guys won't. You guys won't do it. I know you won't. But
I'll give you Jackson Smith to Jigba.
and then we have stuff like this where Matt just tries to lowball me. I just can't. You guys are awful. You guys
Hey, he's put up more yards this game than Tyreek Hill has. Just
I
saying.
know. I know. Yeah, that's right. But I believe it can turn around for me. I've got faith, boys. I am tired of it and I'm annoyed, but it is what it is. And you know what? If I have to model for the group, I'll do what I got to do at the end of the day if I'm last in this team. Anyways, it is what it is. Now we're going to talk about a team that Avery. What you were going to say something out there?
No, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Thought you were going there. Wanted to make sure. All right, Steelers versus Cowboys. We're always going to let Avery talk about the Steelers and their great performance. Is it time for Russell Wilson? Is it time? What do you think, Avery?
I have to refrain from losing my mind when talking about the Steelers. So I'm going to try to do this as easily as it comes. This is the most middle of the pack team that I've ever seen in my life. Like this is a team that is going to go 9-8. They're going to win 9 games, and I don't know how. And I don't know how they're going to do it, which is ridiculous. You lost to the Cowboys, who really are not a good team. I stayed up till 12:30 to watch us get beat by Dak Prescott, and it wasn't even Rico Dowdle that caught the touchdown. It was Jalen Tolbert of all people. At least if CD would have caught it, I'd have went, you know what, best player out there. It was Jalen Tolbert. Are you joking me? It's just ridiculous. This defense is supposed to be number one, and it's like a it's just like a paper sheet in the wind. I mean, it gets pushed around. I don't know what goes on. And this game really wasn't even close. It really wasn't. We had 3 turnovers. They had 3 turnovers in the red zone. If it wasn't for that, this game doesn't matter. Like, it's not even close. I think it's time to start Russell Wilson. I just don't think Justin Fields has it. I think he's a good player. I think he's all right. Mid. He's all right. But I say mid because he's not bad, but he's not good. And if you're just in the middle, that's not good enough. So why not try Russell Wilson? So that's what I think. It's just so agitating because then I had to watch Kyle Allen come in there and throw a dot. And Justin Fields just can't throw a dot. He just can't do it. And I could go on. Najee Harris is playing like buns. It's time to get rid of him. He'll get signed by someone in the offseason, but it sure ain't going to be us. And guess what? The leading point – I didn't even know this, but this makes sense. The leading point scorer for the Steelers wide receiver room was tied. It was Van Jefferson and George Pickens at 4 points apiece. That is so sad. So sad. And that just I mean, all the problems summed up right there. Our second best receiver is Van Jefferson. You can't win games in the NFL with Van Jefferson as your second best. And then at least our tight ends are decent. Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington are good. Connor Hayward's going to be a thorn because he's just one of those guys you don't really know, but he's going to get the ball because Pittsburgh loves him. Because Cam Hayward's such a great player. They keep giving Connor Hayward the options. I don't know. I can just tell you I'm tired of Pittsburgh. It's been 5 games. I'm tired of Pittsburgh. My fantasy teams ain't doing great. It's been a rough NFL season, but hey, at least the Hogs are winning. That's why I got this hat on. It's keeping me going. So also don't bet on Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's lost me so much money. It's ridiculous. Every parlay lost because of Pittsburgh. It always comes down to Pittsburgh, and they always blow it. Just always blow it. Not even surprised. Freaking Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys of all teams. It just so mad. I'll let you cover the Cowboys. But yeah, 12. I was having such a great time. I just got done acing my test, studied all week for it. I was like, this is such a high. And then I'm absolutely mad at the world at 12:35 at night. Couldn't even sleep. just couldn't even do it because I stayed up to watch that stupid game.
Pray for Avery. That's all I'm hearing here. We need to be praying for Avery.
I, I,
Don't
I would
upset
like I would like to offer some encouragement here, but
there's no encouragement. This team is just mid. They're just a middle of the pack team.
I don't know because you can put Russell Wilson in, but how much better is he going to make them? It's not going to be much, but he is a better thrower than Justin Fields is. And what makes Justin Fields a dangerous player is his rushing ability. But then this game, he rushes the ball 6 times against a Dallas defense that can't stop the run. Yeah. And that was another disappointing thing about Najee is I have him in a different league, and he's going to have a great game against this rushing defense. They're terrible. And then he comes in there and puts up 40 yards. He just looks slow. But I'll touch on the Cowboys. This was kind of a game people had been wanting to see from Rico Dowdle. He finally started kind of playing good, and it looks like he's the lead back on that backfield. He didn't get the touchdown, but he had 20 carries, had 87 yards rushing. That's pretty good for a guy that you just picked off waivers. So you're pretty happy about that. And then same thing with Jalen Tolbert. If Brandon Cooks continues to be out, he had an infection in his knee, which that sounds terrible. I don't know what that's about. But if Jalen Tolbert is going to continue to get targets like this, I think he could at least be a flex option for you. He had 10 targets this game. So, and Dak obviously loves him. So he could be a guy that you play in your flex. CD's been disappointing. Now, I will say the Steelers defense, like Avery touched on, it's good. So he got the number one treatment there. But if you drafted CD this year, you're disappointed. And if you're the Cowboys, you're disappointed because you signed Dak to the highest contract ever at quarterback. And we knew that when they signed it. I think they knew it. I think they were just scared of getting rid of him. But
can you believe I had to listen? Not only did I have to listen after the game that we lost, they compared Dak Prescott to Tom Brady. They compared him to Tom. They're like, he wins in the clutch just like Tom Brady. He knows when to turn it on. Just wanted to let y'all know that. If you did, they compared him to
disgusting.
Tom Brady.
That's just disgusting.
Dak's a frustrating player because he says all the right things at like press conferences. He carries himself in the right way. CD lost his temper this game, and Dak held his cool. But then he throws for 1,000,000 yards and then gets in the red zone and throws picks. He's just such a frustrating player, and I can't even. Last year he looked like the MVP of the league, and then this year he's doing this, and he always sucks in the playoffs. So I don't know where you go if you're Dallas. I mean, your number one receiver struggling. You have no run game. As much as Rico Dowdle, he played okay this game. They still can't. No one's worried about the run. That's why he had 87 yards, as the Steelers were solely focused on stopping the passing attack. So I don't know. I think Dallas is legitimately not a very good team. That's why I was kind of I picked the Steelers, and I never do that, and they lost it for me. But anyway, put that aside. I know Avery knows all about that, but it's just disappointing because we expected this Cowboys offense to be like it was last year, and Dak and CD to be a number one combo quarterback receiver, and it's just not that this year.
It's just football for us. It's been a struggle bus. It has been ups and downs. It's been flipped around. Brock Bowers is tied in one. I mean, it's crazy around here. Honestly, I dropped Rico Dowdle. You know, you just go through it. It happens.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention Ferguson is looking good.
He is. Yes,
I will say Ferguson is the one bright spot that you have to be excited about.
He's tied in number 8 right now, I think, or 9. He's right around there, but he's cracked the top 10. He missed a few games there. Was it one game?
Yeah, he missed 2 games, I believe, this season, and he's still top 10.
Yeah.
So he's playing fantastic. You have to play him every single week.
Fantastic.
That helped me get a win.
Yeah. Fantastic's a little bit of a large word. I think tight ends just suck.
Yeah, okay.
It just suck.
Fantastic for how the tight ends have played this year.
I think if you get 5 points from your tight end each week, you're doing all right. You're doing all right.
Dude, Mark Andrews catching 1 ball last week, I was praising the Lord. It made me so happy he got one catch.
But was tied in 3.
Yeah, he ended up with 5, but I was just praying. That was fantastic. Now he's on my bench this week. He's about to get dropped, but Anyways,
Trade him. Trade him. We talked about it.
No one wants that turd.
Hey,
He's
you gotta adjust. You gotta adjust your value on Mark Andrews. Okay,
I've adjusted it. He's awful.
he's pretty bad. It's kind of sad. Yeah, he's not the same guy. Well, boys, real quickly, I know I said Tony Pollard out there as a start. We may talk about this next episode, but real quick, a little highlight of who you got starting this week that you think will do good based on matchups here.
Go
Do you
ahead,
have
Abe.
some?
Two guys I have number one, my first one, B. John Robinson. You're going to start this guy. I truly think there are people that are not thinking about starting him because this guy has truly not been great. I think you got to hold in there. He plays Carolina this week. He's going to get the work. He's out. He's on the field more than Tyler Algier. It's like 75-25. So the snaps really aren't the problem. Algier's getting a couple. Like that, it's just so agitating. It's so agitating because you're like, why are we putting Algier in back here? And the even kicker part, even more, is Algier's always in there on the important drives. It's not even the non. It's just like, why is he out there? Why? But what's up? What you got?
I'm sorry to break this news, but Kittle caught another touchdown.
I'm telling you, you just can't make this up. You can't make it up. I'm truly telling you that if I play someone in fantasy football, I think that their team, I don't know what I did after I won the championship last year, but for some reason, God is just like, you're done. You're done this year. I didn't even brag about it that much. I was just like, oh, hey, I won, guys. Just Venmo me. And God's like, too much. This ain't gonna work around here, partner. And not only is George Kittle just going crazy, my running back's done. Jordan Mason, he's done. He ran one time out of half and hasn't touched the ball since. So thanks, Alex, for the pick me up.
I was trying.
Right.
I was trying.
No,
to keep
he's not fine.
here, boys.
He's not fine. It makes me so mad. But hey, play B. John. Don't play anybody on my team, so you're not going to want to start. You're not going to want to start Kyler Murray. You're not going to want to start T. Higgins, Devontae Smith. But you should have started you should have started Deebo Samuel tonight. It was there. It was there. The one guy I didn't start. It's just life. That's just how it goes. My other start was Austin Eckler. I think he's a good play. Go for it. I think he's a good one. He's kind of was my guy to start off the year. I got him in our dynasty league. Go for it. I think he's a good player, but who knows? Our group chat's going crazy because someone wants to trade Brandon Ayuk, so we'll see how that goes. I'm not trading for him because I got too many 49ers on my team already. So
Are we cool?
Go for it. Also, don't start Tyler Kraft. Don't start anyone I got on my roster because they're going to put up 3 points. But hey, I'll let everyone know next week who I'm playing, and they will put up points. I guarantee it. Brev hasn't put up more than like 102. Yeah. He's going to put up 160 this week. I guarantee it. I got put up 160 and a half PPR last week. And a half PPR. How does that happen? How? But those are my starts of the week. No, Matt wasn't trying to start nothing. It just so happens to be that I got to be playing the God Squad every week. You see those Instagram things are like the best team you can put together, and it's just like my opponent's page. It's just like all their players. Like, this is the perfect lineup. But those are my starts of the week. There you go.
I'm sorry I brought that up, but I just happened to switch over to the game, and right when I pulled it up, it said Kittle 5-yard touchdown.
Jeez.
But anyways, my start of the week is going to be a duo. It's Gibbs and Montgomery. This backfield has been impressive all season. They're both top 10, which is unheard of for a running back duo. You normally don't want a split backfield, but they are both proving to be viable every single week. And especially this week because they go up against the Cowboys defense, who has been terrible against the run. I mean, they are just a run funnel. That's why I started Najee Harris last week with just so much confidence, and then he really disappointed me. But I think Gibbs and Montgomery, they're so involved in the rushing attack as well as the passing game. You saw Montgomery have like a 60-yard catch last week, which is normally Gibbs' role, but that just shows you how interchangeable they are. They're both going to be fantastic on a week-to-week basis, and I think you can start both of them, and they're going to be in the top 10 running backs scoring-wise this upcoming week. So I would play both of them. I think they're the Lions' script this week for their offense is going to be a lot of rushing. So I would play both of those with 100% confidence.
That's what I like to hear. I got Montgomery, so I'm okay with it, and I'm not playing you, so I'm all right with that. Montgomery last week popped a dude and kept that ball going. It was kind of a crazy play, so hopefully they can pull it through. But those are some guys that you should be starting, right? And I believe that's all we got today. Minute 10 mark. Not bad today, boys. Not bad at all. Saturday we'll be back here.
Yes, sir.
Back on Saturday. Give you the last minute who you should put in, right? We'll tell you exactly who Avery's going against and start him.
I will let you know. In every league, it's happened. I'll let the fans know. I have played the top 2 scores every week. And the only reason I won one game is because I was the top scorer. The guy I played against was the number 2 scorer. You can't make it up. You can't make this up.
His one wins against me.
And it was Alex.
Yep.
My one wins against Alex.
Yep. So 1-4, baby. But you know what? There's a lot of football left, and I am not going to give up. And it starts this week, baby.
All it takes is one. All it takes is one. That's all we need. That's all we need.
It starts this week. You heard it here first. And you know what? Monday, if it's not this vibe, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might be really struggling, honestly. If I'm 1-5, dude, I might be going through it. Not going to lie. But it is what it is. And we'll still be here giving you advice. You probably shouldn't listen to us if we're 1-5, but it is what it is. We'll let Matt do the podcast.
Our takes have been pretty money. They're just people that aren't on our team. They're just not on our team.
In y'all's defense, you can't control injuries. That's just how fantasy football goes. I was on the injury bus last year. It's just how it goes. You got to roll with it sometimes.
It's running me over. That's what the injury bus is doing. I'm just under it. That's the problem. But it is what it is. We thank you for joining Takeology today. Don't forget, subscribe on YouTube, like, share, right? We're on Spotify. Give us a listen. And if you want to leave questions or comments, takeologyfootball@outlook.com. But we will see you again. I hope you have a great rest of your week. We will see you on Saturday to give you the rest of your good advice. Everybody take it easy out there.
Bye-bye.